Okay, so far we've got a video on the overview of the project. We've got another video that kind of gives the basics of how to get started with Microsoft Project, creating your basic Microsoft Project outline, with the Gantt chart on the right. This video is going to show you just some of the neat things that you can do with HTML5 and CSS combined together. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is start up the server. So this is after you've connected to the VPN. If you're doing this from home, you'll want to 130.160.115.164, click connect. And again, you'll use your Bama ID and then your campus-wide ID plus #ABC as your password. You'll connect on in, and after a second it should fire up okay. So we're going to create some HTML from scratch. Alright, so we're going to want to make sure we do this in our website folder. So here's the website folder. Let's go ahead and make a new folder for we'll call it RFP Lab. Okay, and then in that RFP Lab folder I'm going to create some documents. Alright, the first document I'm going to create, I'm just going to use Notepad. The first document I'm going to create is my basic index.html file. Okay, this is going to be the page that pulls up when I go and look at your project overview web page for this RFP project. Okay, so since we're using HTML5, okay, the very first thing that's big time different about HTML5 is that this right here is all you have to have for a web page now. Okay, it used to be doc type, all this crazy long stuff, but with HTML5 they've condensed that. They've condensed it and standardized it, and they've built a lot of functionality into simple commands now with HTML5. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start our HTML. Alright, and the first thing we want to do is put in our head. Whoops. Alright, we'll give your page a title. You can call it anything you want to. I'm just going to call it RFP Project Web Page. Alright, just something simple. Close the title. Alright, so what we've seen so far, nothing really shockingly new or anything. We're going to put in a CSS style sheet reference. So link rel equal style sheet, type equal text CSS, href equal my style.css, and then we'll want to end that. Alright, so that's just referencing the style sheet. Alright, again, nothing really major yet. Let's go ahead and end the head, the heading, head area. Alright, so we've just got the HTML start, HTML close. We've specified our doc type. By putting just this at the top of the page, it should parse as HTML5 and not HTML4, if the browser can do it. Not all browsers can do all HTML5 stuff. You'll realize that as you look at your page in Chrome, which fully supports it, versus CMonkey, which sort of supports it, and then IE9, which doesn't really do a good job of anything. I'm kidding. It does a little, I mean, it's okay, but it does a lot of bad stuff. Alright, so let's put in our very first HTML5 tag, which is nav. Okay, nav, this is supposed to be your nav bar. Alright, when you put in the tag nav, it actually puts a nav, it creates a separate div or a divider of your HTML coding. So this is actually going to be a separate section dedicated just towards the nav bar. Okay, of course in your nav bar you would put links to other things, you know, things like that. If you don't have links to anything else, any other pages, then you don't have to put a nav bar. But I'm just letting you know that that's a new feature of HTML5. Another feature of HTML5 is the article tag. Okay, you can have a separate section of your page dedicated for an article. So article content would go here. All right. So basically, as it says on the the readings for this lecture, this lab, basically instead of having just divs scattered everywhere in your HTML coding to separate sections, and then having CSS tags that are kind of embedded to those, it kind of gets confusing doing all that. They were like, well, why don't we just make the divs and the CSS stuff a little simpler? So this is actually the way they're doing it. So we can reference the nav tag both in our coding to be a div and a section, and we can go to our CSS in a minute here and we can say, okay, this is actually the CSS that I'm doing here goes back to that nav tag. Okay, so anything in the nav is going to be styled this way. Anything in the article section is going to be styled this way. So it, I hate to say that, but it kills two birds with one stone. Alright, you can also do an aside. There's a whole bunch more tags. Aside content goes here. So if you had an instance where you wanted to kind of put something off to the side, where you're kind of giving information about something, but you're not specifically talking about it in the main body, you can use an aside tag, and it's actually a separate section, and it's separate from everything else you're doing. So that's just another way they've combined divs and a content concept into one thing called an aside. Alright, but this is the section that we're actually going to use. Okay? We are going to use the thing called summary. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the body in here. You can use body, alright, but the tag that I really want you to use, or really play with in this lab, it's a lot of fun, is the summary and detail stuff. Okay? So we'll start out with our details section. Alright, and in our details section, I'm going to first put a summary. Okay, the summary is exactly what you would think it is. Summary item 1. Alright, it allows you to summarize what will be talked about in that details section. Okay, so I've started my details section, I've included a summary, and now I'm going to go and just say, here would be the summary info of this section. Alright, and then you just close out your details section, and you can close out your body, and then you're done. Alright, So you want to save this page as, we don't want to save it in website CSS lab CSS, we want to save it in website RFP lab, and we want to save it as all files. We want to save it as index.html. Alright, so that's what you want to save this document right here. Okay, so in order to be able to see this, the HTML5 stuff, it doesn't really work in CMonkey. Okay, we can open up CMonkey real quickly, and I can show you that the summary details thing, which is really neat, doesn't really work very well in CMonkey. So we'll go and we'll say HTTP localhost squiggle clay squiggle RFP lab. Okay, so you can see that the different sections have lined up well, but this summary and details thing is all run together, so that didn't work. So I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to go to Google. Okay, each person has to download and install this because it's a per user thing. So we're going to type in Chrome, alright, in Google, and we're going to download Chrome. Okay, download and install Chrome. I always uncheck that Google Chrome is my default browser. Alright, as soon as it gets through downloading, this will be blue, so just double click on this and then run it. And this may take a minute or two to install. And then after it's done, it'll pop up this window. And I prefer to use Google as my search browser, so I just click choose. Alright, and then it pops it up. Okay, so now what we want to do is, this is a little tricky here because Chrome doesn't really have a good way to browse local files, but you just type in C:, users, or actually I guess we could just reference the web page, couldn't we? HTTP localhost squiggle clay RFP lab. Okay, so here's the magic. Alright, here's the fun stuff. Alright, so this stuff here, this is supposed to be your nav bar. Article content will go here, aside content goes here. That's just normal. Okay, it's created the divs, that's nice. But this is the fun part, right? This is our summary item 1, and if we click on it, it gives you the details from the details section. That's pretty cool, right? So this is how you'll be able to create your web page for your project, and you'll be able to describe all those different sections, and when people don't want to look at those details anymore, they can just click this and it'll shrink it back down to the summary. Okay, you'll have several summary items, and then when you click on one, it'll show the details of just that section. So that's a fun way to do this kind of RFP project proposal, right? Is to use the HTML5, those tags that are already built out. You don't have to create all kind of crazy coding. They're already built, so I want you to utilize them. Okay, so that's step 1, is to implement the summary and the details tag and install Google Chrome, and so you can view it. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is to add in our CSS elements, right? Because what fun would it be to do this web page here, but to not have it look pretty. Okay, well, things won't look incredibly pretty when I'm done, but they will look a little bit prettier. Alright, so we'll open up Notepad. Alright, notice in the background I've still got my HTML page there, so if I want to go mess with it I can. So what we're going to do now is create our CSS style sheet. Okay, alright, so we'll start off with body. Okay, and we'll insert a little CSS for the body. So the font family is going to be Times New Roman Times and serif. Alright, so what are we saying by that? What we're saying is the one that's in quotes, that's the one I want you to shoot for first, Times New Roman. If you don't have that, just try Times. And if you don't have that, just try any serif font you can find. Okay? And I'm going to make the color blue. So anything in the body is going to be blue. Okay? So we'll end that one. Alright, the next one I want to do is the aside. Okay? I'm going to go in and code the color purple for that one. Okay? Next we'll do the nav area. Alright, I'm just going to make the color be red for nav. Okay, just close that. Alright, we're going to move on to article. Okay, the article section, I want that to be color green. Okay, summary, let's make our summary orange. Oh, color orange. Always helps to spell it right. And then lastly, the details section, color brown. Alright, before I close it out, let me just make sure I typed everything correctly. Body, color blue, aside, color purple, nav, color red, article, color green, summary, color orange, details, color brown. So I'm going to save this. We're going to save as. I'm going to save it in the RFP lab. And remember, it's called mystyle.css. Okay? Now you can call it anything you want to, doesn't really matter, but just know that in my HTML file, I call it mystyle.css. Okay? So we'll go here, we'll hit refresh, and you'll notice that the color's changed, right? Because that's the only style element that I messed with in there, alright? But the cool part is that you can have your summary as one color, and then you can have the details as another color, alright? So that's just a really simple way to get in there, show you some of the neat things of not only CSS, but HTML5, and how you can use the HTML5 functionalities to make your project description web page really snazzy, okay, with some, but not overly snazzy, not crazy, you know, not bouncing bears and singing frogs, right? Just really clean, simple stuff, okay? Alright, so that's the gist of that. You can go back and you can add any style elements you want to here to make this a lot more pleasing to the eye and stuff like that. And of course you can get rid of your navbar stuff if you don't have any other web pages to go with this. It may just be a one-page website, and if that's all it is, that's fine. Eliminate the things, the tags you don't need. I was just showing you how to use them, okay? Alright, so what do you send me in the email? What you're going to send me is this link right here, okay? Whatever when you go to the server, whatever web page you put in to show this page here, that's what I want to see. Okay, so email me that, and then also email me your Microsoft project file. Alright, when you're done, just close everything out, and then log off. And then email me all your files.